Hi, Dawn here from Enzo's. Today I'm going to give you a little quick tutorial on the Easy Educator. This is the e-collar that we primarily use here at Enzo's. So if you do any of our board and training, day training, any of our stuff with e-collars, this is the one we supply. This is the one I'm the most versed in. I have used many different collars over the years. They are not created equally, so do your homework on your collars before you purchase them. It comes like this. Little box of goodies. Everything's online that you need for manual wise. I just thought for Enzo's clients, I'm going to show you kind of some of the stuff that we do, why we do it, and we're just going to start out with the mechanics. So everything that you need for the collar, other than the dog, is in the box, including the plugins and all that. There's a lanyard, there's some other fun little things in there, but we are just going to talk about the basics of the remote and the collar. We're going to start with that. So just so you know, these are for these prongs here, these connectors are for dogs with short hair. You can get them in really short for like hairless dogs or the bullies that have really, really thin fur. You can get titanium, they have hypoallergenic, they have the diffusers. There's so many different ones that you can get for this. There's also different attachments that have buckles and stuff like that for the actual collar itself. And yes, you can cut this. It is quite long. I have had one dog over the years that fits their head in that, like their neck in that. Like that is like the size of a person's waist. Like really, it's huge. Okay, so start with turning it on. We're going to start with turning this one on. The opposite side of the antenna is where the on-off switch is, right here. You hold it down for about 3 seconds and it turns on. To turn the collar on, you turn over the back of the remote. There's a little red eye here, and then the side of the collar here, there's a little eye. There's a magnet and it turns it on, so you literally are going to wave it in front of it and you're going to see it flashing green. Flashing green means it's fully charged and ready to go. If you start seeing it, you'll see it flash. If you start seeing it flash yellow, orange, or red, it simply means that this unit here, the battery is going dead on it. So making sure that, especially when you're in teaching mode, training mode, that we're putting these on the charger every day or two to make sure they're fully charged. The hand remote, there's a little battery life down here that you can see right underneath there. When it starts going low, you can put it on. The battery in here does last longer than the battery in here. To turn the stem up and down on this one, we actually like this remote, so we have them put this in the 900 series for us. They come with a round remote that's like this, exactly the same units. It's just a preference in how you like it to fit in your hand. When these came out, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, when this style came out, I instantly changed to it because it's easier for people to turn it up and down with their thumb like this than it was for some of us to turn the dial. You kind of had to turn it like this up here to turn the stem up and down. This is much faster. You can turn the stem up. For those of us who have a dog who goes up and down and is all over the place on stem, it works really nicely. Also, it just fits in my pocket, in my hoodie. I typically have a hoodie on, and this is often just in my hoodie. It's much easier when it's this, putting it in your pocket, than it is the round ones. For me, I found that I could just pick this up and I knew where it was based on the antenna. Okay, so the different buttons have different meanings. The on-off button, the P button is right on top of that. That's the programming button. We keep these programmed for the most part for 90% of our clients exactly how they come from the factory. I am a minimalist. We focus on one button 90% of the time, 95% of the time, which is this left bottom button here, this red button here. This is the continuous button. We'll talk about that. Continuous, momentary are on this side. On this side is the on-off button and the P button for programming. I will say the number one thing people do when they go home first with a collar, the number one call we get within the first 3 days of training is that the person has locked the unit. They think the unit's broken because the stem will not move up and down. It simply means that you held the P button down for too long and it locked the unit. How you can tell if you lock your unit is there's a 1D right here. I know you can't see it. Oh, there, you can see it. See if you can see it. Oh, there it is. You see that? The 1D is flashing. You want the 1D to flash. If the 1D is solid, it simply means that you locked the unit. I don't ever recommend somebody locking their units. If you're gonna put it in your purse, turn it off. Like, don't lock it because you'll forget it was locked and then you'll need it, and then you won't be able to change the level of the stim. So if the 1D quits flashing, simply hold the P button down for about 3 seconds and it will unlock it. To lock it, you hold the P button down for about 3 seconds and it locks it. So usually what happens is, instead of hitting the buttons over here, you just accidentally, when you're working with your dog, hit it over here. The other really cool feature that this has, one of my favorite features, I use this all the time with my dogs, is the flashlights. So this is where the flashlight's going to come out. The on-off button serves as your on-off for your flashlight. So it's on, the unit's on right now, it's flashing green. So if I click the unit one more time, it blinks, which is awesome. And then if I click it one more time, it stays on. This is really cool because in these days where it's dark in the morning when I get up and it's dark at night, I put these on my dogs and I have land. And so I can see my dogs going through the forest literally like this, and I can count them all and I know where they are. And I have German Shepherds, so they're dark. I wouldn't notice them otherwise. So when the flashlight's on and you want to turn it off, again, go back to that on-off button, click it one more time, and it will turn it off. Also, you'll know because if you're hitting the wrong button, if you mean to hit this button and you're actually hitting the on-off button, you'll see the flashlight going off and on. So works great that way too, to know what you're doing the right one. Okay, so these other buttons here correspond. If you can see, I'm going to try not to touch it. It says VTMC. So M is for momentary and goes to this button here. C is for continuous and goes to this button right here. If you train with us, this is the button we're going to really focus on. V is vibrate, and it goes with this button right here. And T, right there where you see it says T, oops, I'm switching the wrong way. T is tone, and that button is tone. So tone, we don't use here. I'll do it for you. So we don't use tone at all at Enzo's, and here's why. Because over the years, I have found two things that tone is really great for. People who have underground fences use tone, and tone is a very different thing if it's an underground fence. An underground fence, the dog hears the tone, it knows don't go any further, that means it's a boundary, don't go any further, or you're gonna get knocked upside the head. In the sport dog world, tone is used often also, which has a much different meaning, and for hunting dogs, for just different reasons. So I don't use it. I just don't use it. It's too confusing for the dogs to have too many meanings, and we don't need to. We are a family dog, real world training facility. We're going to teach you what to do in the real world, and so we don't need to challenge anything with the tones. We also don't use vibrate. Here's the vibrate. Can you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that. So we don't use vibrate. If I have a dog that I'm going to train on a vibrate collar, I get Ecollar Technologies pager collar, and they work great for vibrating because you can turn the volume of the vibration up or down. This vibration is too much vibration for my 80-pound German Shepherd, my 80-pound male German Shepherd. He will hit the ground if you hit him with this vibration. So some dogs it's too much for. Most dogs, to be honest with you, ignore it. They just do. If we have a dog that comes in that does well on the vibration, it's probably because they have they're just kind of couch potatoes who like to bark. We'll use it a lot for that, and they'll stop barking because of it. Like, that's, one of those little dogs. It's an easier fix on that sometimes. But doesn't work on a ton of dogs, and your dog is not broken if it doesn't work on them. Doesn't work on my dogs either. So tone, vibrate, again, don't really use them, so we don't really use those buttons unless you want to switch to using those buttons, and then you can reprogram these buttons to different meanings. These are the two buttons you're going to focus on: momentary or nick. People call it both things. And then continuous. So I'm going to tell you why I don't use momentary or nick, because I'm teaching. When I get a dog, I am teaching them, I'm conditioning them to something. If you use nick, it is 1/1000th of a second. So here's how fast it is. There will be a red light that flashes here. That's the fast speed of the nick. So that's speed. The Problem with the nick is when you're teaching is I can't find a working level on a dog without going super high using a nick, because in order for it to register to the brain when they're learning pressures, you have to go higher and higher and higher and higher before they learn it, and then you can go back down. With the nick, you have to go too high. I don't want to go that high. So I would rather slow it down by using this continuous button. So, and the speed of my finger. So as long as your finger's on the button, stim is coming out of these. Okay? It's kind of simple. Up to, I think it's like 30 seconds. There is a timer on it that it will time out. So I'm hitting it, stim is coming out. If I'm at a tapping motion with the dog, I can tap, a slow tap, that it can give their brain a chance to register, to feel it, in order to understand, oh, I'm supposed to look at my handler. It's just a softer way. It's like I wouldn't go in, same thing with the leash, like, you know, we just have to go gentler on dogs to teach them what it means. Now, I'm not saying always, but I'm saying to teach them the meaning of the pressure. So teaching meaning of pressure is what we do here at Enzo's. So many dogs don't understand pressure, which is why these are such great tools when you teach the right way. So the continuous button gives them more time for their, so this is the button, this lower red button right here. And again, it's to, so we do a lot of tapping and double tapping. We also do a lot of hold and scrolling. So we're turning this, we're turning the stim up at the same time that we're holding it. Makes it feel more like a squeeze than a tap. So those are kind of the mechanics of it. Let me think if I missed anything just to start with. I don't think I did. If you have any questions, make sure you put the questions in the comments and I will help you with that. But this is just a little video on the actual mechanics of the Ecollar that we use. If you do any of my classes, seminars, trainings, one-on-ones, anything, this is the collar I will either recommend you come in with. If you come in with another collar and you are versed in how that collar works, great. I will definitely show you and have you put this on, feel the stim on this versus the stim on your collar, and I'll make sure that you actually know mechanically how to use your collar. I am not versed in every collar out there anymore. I've used a lot of them, but they're not all created equal. I hope this video helps. Let me know other videos that you want to see us doing, and I will see you very soon. Have a great day.